Have you ever noticed how some people are exhausted, stressed, or even unhappy, and yet they spend hours thinking about what others are doing, about who's right, who's wrong, who likes them, who doesn't? Here's the truth: thinking too much about everyone else, thinking about what others think of you, constantly comparing yourself, it doesn't make you wise, it doesn't make you kind, it doesn't even make you productive. Instead, it quietly weakens you, it drains your energy, it steals your peace, and it keeps you from becoming the person you were meant to be. Today, I want to share with you why caring too much about everyone can be your biggest weakness, and what you can do to reclaim your power. Let's start with something very simple, yet very profound: your energy. Each one of us has a certain amount of energy every day. Some of it goes to work, some of it goes to our family, some to our hobbies, and some to our personal growth. But here's the thing: when you spend your time and your thoughts constantly thinking about everyone else, what they are doing, what they are thinking about you, whether they approve or disapprove, you are actually stealing energy from yourself. Imagine your mind is like a cup. Every thought, every worry, every judgment about someone else fills that cup. And slowly, silently, the cup overflows. But what about your own dreams, your own passions, your own well-being? There is nothing left in your cup for yourself. And yet, most of us don't even realize this is happening. Have you noticed that some people always seem tired, stressed, or overwhelmed? It's not always because of work, not always because of life's responsibilities. Often, it is because they carry the weight of everyone else's lives inside their mind. They replay conversations. They think about what others are thinking about them. They worry about how someone else feels about their choices. And slowly, they lose the energy to focus on themselves. Here's the truth: every minute you spend thinking about someone else, you are spending a minute less thinking about your own growth, your own happiness, your own potential. It's not just time that is lost, it's vitality, peace, and focus. And no one can give that energy back to you. No one. So if you truly want to become stronger, happier, more fulfilled, you need to guard your energy like a treasure. Protect your mind from the endless noise of other people's lives. Focus your thoughts on what you can do, what you can create, who you want to become. That is the energy that matters. That is the energy that builds your life. And that, my friends, is the first step in becoming unshakable. When you constantly think about everyone else, what they are doing, what they expect from you, what they might think of you, you slowly lose your focus. Your mind, which is meant to be like a laser, sharp and precise, becomes scattered, jumping from one person to another, from one thought to the next. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to start your day with one goal in mind, but by the evening, you realize that you haven't done anything meaningful because your thoughts were caught up in everyone else's world? That is what happens when your attention is stolen. Focus is a treasure. It is the bridge between your intentions and your actions. When your energy is divided, when your mind constantly drifts to people outside of yourself, the bridge starts to crumble. You want to work on your dream, but your thoughts keep returning to: did they like what I said? Did they notice what I did? What are they thinking about me? And slowly, the work you could have done with passion, creativity, and efficiency is replaced by anxiety, second-guessing, and distraction. Think about it this way: your mind is a garden. Every thought you plant grows. If you plant worry about others' judgment or comparison, those weeds spread fast. And before you know it, the beautiful plants of your focus, your goals, and your ideas are choked and stunted. Your own potential is left to struggle for light, while the weeds of distraction take all the space. Even small decisions begin to suffer. You might take twice as long to make a choice because you are imagining how others will react. You might avoid taking action because you fear judgment. Your concentration, which could have been your most powerful tool, is now constantly pulled in different directions. And the irony is that the people you are thinking about are living their lives, unaware of the attention you give them, while your life, the one you can actually shape, is slipping through your fingers. The key is not to stop caring about others entirely, that would make us cold, but to stop letting them control your mind. Your attention is sacred, protect it. Focus it on your growth, your work, your passions, your relationships, your dreams. When you do this, clarity emerges, creativity blossoms and action becomes effortless. And that is how you reclaim control over your life. Because, my friends, when your focus is intact, when your mind is free from unnecessary distractions, you can achieve more in a few hours than someone distracted by everyone else might achieve in a week. Focus is power. And once you understand this, you begin to see that thinking too much about everyone else is not just tiring. It is quietly stealing the most precious thing you have, the ability to direct your life where you want it to go. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to look at someone else and think, why am I not like them? Why don't I have what they have? Why am I behind? This is the comparison trap, and it is one of the quietest, most destructive forces in our lives. When you constantly compare yourself to others, you begin to measure your worth not by your own values, not by your own achievements, but by someone else's standards, someone else's journey, someone else's highlight reel. The truth is, every person has their own struggles, their own failures, their own battles that no one else sees. And yet, when we compare ourselves, we often compare the inside of our life to the outside of someone else's life. We see their success, their confidence, their achievements, and we forget the countless hours of effort, failure, and sacrifice that led them there. And the result? We feel small, we feel inadequate, we feel that we are somehow less than we truly are. Comparison is a thief. It steals joy, it steals contentment, and it steals confidence. When you focus on what others are doing, you are silently telling yourself that your own journey is not enough. Every time you scroll through social media, every time you gossip about someone, every time you look at someone and wonder, why not me? You are feeding that trap, and the more you feed it, the stronger it becomes, until it quietly dictates your emotions, your decisions, and even your sense of self-worth. And yet, the irony is that comparison doesn't make you better. It only makes you bitter. It doesn't inspire growth. It creates envy, resentment, and distraction. When you focus on being better than someone else, you forget to focus on being better than yesterday. When you focus on what others have, you forget what you have and what you can create. The key is to turn the lens inward, to compare yourself only to yourself. Ask, am I growing? Am I learning? Am I moving forward? That is the comparison that matters. That is the comparison that gives energy, not drains it. The only person you should ever measure yourself against is the person you were yesterday, because that is a measurement rooted in growth, not in envy. When you free yourself from the comparison trap, a remarkable thing happens. You begin to see your own life with clarity. You begin to celebrate your small victories, to appreciate your own strengths, and to pursue your own path with confidence. You stop being distracted by the noise of everyone else's journey and start listening to the quiet voice inside, guiding you toward your purpose. And my friends, that is when true strength begins, not in being better than someone else, but in being fully, unapologetically, authentically yourself. Because comparison will never make you happy. But self-acceptance, self-awareness, and self-growth, those will set you free. Have you ever found yourself standing at a crossroads in life, knowing that you need to make a decision, but somehow feeling frozen? You keep thinking, what if I choose wrong? What will they think? What if it doesn't work out? This is what I call decision paralysis, the subtle, quiet enemy that creeps in when we spend too much time thinking about everyone else. When your mind is constantly occupied with what others might think, what others might say, and how they might react, it becomes impossible to listen to your own inner voice, your own intuition, your own judgment, your own understanding of what is right for you gets drowned out by the constant chatter of imagined opinions. And slowly, decisions that could have been simple become overwhelming. Simple choices become mountains, and opportunities pass by because your mind is too busy worrying about approval, validation, or judgment. Think about it. Every day you make countless decisions, big and small. But the ones that truly shape your life, the ones that define your path, require clarity, courage, and confidence. When your thoughts are tangled in what everyone else thinks, you hesitate, you procrastinate, you second-guess yourself. And in that hesitation, life moves forward without you. The chance that could have been yours slips away. Even small decisions are affected. Something as simple as speaking up in a meeting, pursuing a dream, or setting boundaries with someone can become paralyzing. You start imagining every possible reaction, every possible criticism. You overanalyze every scenario, and in the process, you exhaust your mind without ever taking action. The danger here is not just missed opportunities. It's the slow erosion of self-trust. Each time you allow someone else's imagined opinion to dictate your choices, you weaken your confidence. You start doubting your instincts. You start believing that your own judgment is not enough. And the irony is that the people you worry about, most of them aren't even thinking about you. They're living their own lives. Yet you've given them control over your mind, your decisions, and ultimately your life. The way to break free is simple, but it requires courage. Focus on what you know is right for you. Listen to your inner voice. Take responsibility for your choices. Realize that no one else can live your life for you, and that the fear of judgment is far less important than the satisfaction of living authentically. When you start making decisions based on your values, your goals, and your heart, clarity replaces hesitation. Courage replaces fear. And every choice you make becomes a step toward your own growth, rather than a reaction to everyone else's expectations. Remember this: indecision may feel safe because you are avoiding judgment, but in truth, indecision weakens you. Action strengthens you. Every time you choose your own path, even if it is imperfect, you reclaim a little bit of your power. And over time, that reclaimed power builds resilience, confidence, and peace. You stop letting everyone else's imagined opinions control your life, and you begin to live fully, freely, and boldly. Because, my friends, the greatest tragedy is not failure. It is never trying, never deciding, never moving forward because you are trapped in the opinions of others. Don't let that happen to you. Choose, act, step forward, and trust yourself, for you are stronger, wiser, and more capable than any fear of judgment can ever convince you otherwise. When you spend too much time thinking about everyone else, worrying about what they think, how they feel, or whether they approve of you, something subtle but profound begins to happen inside you. Your emotions start to become fragile, easily shaken, and dependent on forces outside your control. This is what I call emotional weakness. Think about it for a moment. How often do you find yourself upset, frustrated, or even anxious, not because of your own choices or actions, but because someone else acted a certain way, said something, or didn't respond as you had hoped? When your happiness depends on the thoughts and behaviors of others, you hand over your emotional power. You give away your calm, your confidence, and your peace of mind to people who may not even know they have it. Emotional weakness isn't about sensitivity, it's about dependency. It's about letting your feelings be dictated by circumstances that are completely beyond your control. And here's the thing, most of these thoughts are imagined. You spend hours replaying conversations, predicting reactions, and worrying about judgments that may never even happen. And every time you do, your inner strength diminishes a little more. Your heart becomes lighter in capacity, not in freedom, because it's carrying the weight of everyone else's imagined opinions. I've met people who have accomplished so much, who have the talent, the intelligence, and the potential to shine, but they are constantly pulled down by emotional fragility. They hesitate to speak up, they avoid risks, they second-guess their relationships and even their own feelings, all because their emotional well-being is tethered to the unpredictable world outside. This is not strength. This is survival in a prison of thoughts. True emotional strength comes from within. It comes from knowing that your value is not determined by others' approval. Your peace is not dependent on others' behavior, and your happiness is not controlled by outside circumstances. When you begin to nurture this inner resilience, you start to respond to life's challenges rather than react to them. You start to choose calm over chaos, reflection over rashness, and love over resentment. And here's the beauty of it. Once you free yourself from this dependency, your emotions become a source of energy, not a drain. Your feelings become aligned with your values, your goals, and your purpose. You no longer feel tossed about by every small ripple in the opinions or actions of others. Instead, you stand grounded, steady, and strong, like a tree whose roots reach deep into its own soil. Emotional strength is the foundation of every other kind of strength, mental, physical, and spiritual. Without it, no amount of knowledge, skill, or achievement can make you truly resilient. But when you reclaim your emotional power, you are no longer weak, you are no longer fragile. You are free to live authentically, to pursue your dreams fearlessly, and to love others without needing their validation to feel complete. So my friends, if you want to be strong, start here. Protect your emotions. Guard your inner world. Stop giving away your peace to everyone else. Because the moment you take back your emotional power, everything else, your energy, your focus, your courage, falls into place naturally. And that is when true freedom begins. When we constantly think about everyone else, about what they might think of us, what they expect from us, how we are perceived, we slowly begin to lose something precious. We begin to lose ourselves. This is what I call authenticity loss. It's subtle, almost invisible at first, but over time it can quietly erode the very core of who we are. Think about it. How many times have you said or done something not because it reflected your true feelings or beliefs, but because you were afraid of judgment, rejection, or criticism? Maybe you smiled when you didn't feel like smiling, said yes when you wanted to say no, or held back your opinion because you were worried about someone else's reaction. And every time you do that, a little piece of your true self is set aside. Authenticity is not just about honesty with others. It's about honesty with yourself. It's about living in alignment with your values, your principles, and your purpose. But when we allow ourselves to be shaped by the expectations, opinions, and judgments of everyone around us, we start wearing masks. Masks that hide our doubts, our fears, our desires, and even our dreams. We start performing a role instead of living a life. And the tragedy is that it never stops at small things. Over time, the mask becomes your identity. You begin to forget what you truly enjoy, what you truly believe, and even who you truly are. You start living a life that looks good to others, but feels empty to you. You might achieve success, earn praise, and gain approval, but inside, you feel a hollowness that no recognition can fill. I have met many people who are experts at pleasing everyone, but experts at pleasing themselves, very few. And the cost of that is high. Beck. The moment you lose authenticity, you lose trust in yourself. You start doubting your own feelings, your own decisions, your own instincts. And when that happens, no amount of external success can make you feel truly alive. The key to reclaiming authenticity is courage. The courage to listen to your inner voice, to honor your values, and to make choices that reflect who you really are, not who you think others want you to be. It means sometimes disappointing people, sometimes standing alone, and sometimes being misunderstood. But the reward is priceless, a life that feels real, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. When you live authentically, your energy, your focus, and your emotions align naturally. You no longer waste time worrying about approval, comparing yourself to others, or wearing masks. Your actions become deliberate, your decisions become confident, and your presence becomes magnetic, because people are drawn to the truth in you. Remember this, living authentically is not selfish, it is essential. It is the only way to experience true freedom, true peace, and true strength. And once you reclaim your authenticity, you give yourself permission to live fully, to love deeply, and to shine brightly without being controlled by the imagined opinions of others. So my friends, if you want to be strong, start here. Stop living for the applause of others. Stop shaping your life to fit someone else's mold. Listen to your heart, honor your truth, and step into the world as the real, unfiltered, unapologetic you. Because when you do, everything else, your focus, your energy, your courage, naturally follows. Time is one of the most precious resources we have. It's finite, irreplaceable, and yet so often we spend it on things that don't serve us, especially when we are constantly thinking about everyone else. Every moment you spend worrying about what others think, comparing yourself to them, or trying to predict their reactions is a moment stolen from your own life. That, my friends, is the tragedy of time wasted. Think about a single day. You wake up with plans, dreams, and intentions. But before you even begin, your mind is already distracted, thinking about how your colleague will perceive you, how your friend reacted yesterday, how your family expects you to behave. By the end of the day, hours have slipped away, and you realize that while you were busy thinking about everyone else, your own dreams, your own goals, your own passions have been waiting quietly in the corner, untouched, neglected. And the truth is, the world doesn't care about the hours you spend worrying about it. People will live their lives whether or not you obsess over them. But your time, your energy, those are gone forever. You can't rewind the clock. You can't recover the lost hours. And yet so many of us continue to give them away freely, thinking that it's somehow important to live in everyone else's head instead of living in our own lives. Even small pockets of time matter. The minutes you spend scrolling through social media, imagining how others live, or replaying conversations in your mind, those minutes add up. Weeks, months, years can pass by like this. And when you look back, you may realize that your life has been spent not truly living, but observing, analyzing, and worrying about the lives of others. Time wasted is not just lost, it is opportunity lost. Every hour you could have spent learning, creating, loving, or growing becomes a silent thief, stealing your potential. And the saddest part, most of this time theft is invisible. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in quietly, disguised as concern, politeness, or curiosity. But in reality, it is draining the most valuable asset you have, your life. The way to reclaim your time is simple, but it requires discipline and courage. Learn to protect your mind. Focus your energy on what matters to you. Prioritize your goals, your passions, and your relationships that truly nurture you. Let go of the need to dwell on everyone else's life. The more you invest your time in yourself, the more productive, fulfilled, and strong you become. Remember this, time spent worrying about everyone else is never recovered, but time spent on yourself multiplies. It grows your potential, your happiness, and your impact. Each moment you choose to focus on your own life is a moment of power reclaimed. Each choice to stop giving your attention away is a step toward freedom, clarity, and purpose. So my friends, value your time as you would a treasure, because in truth, it is the most precious currency you have. Guard it, invest it wisely, spend it on what truly matters, and let go of the endless, exhausting, and unproductive habit of thinking about everyone else. That, in the end, is the difference between a life lived fully and a life quietly wasted. Inner peace is one of the most precious treasures a person can have. It is that quiet place inside where your mind rests, your heart feels light, and your soul is untroubled. But when you constantly think about everyone else, about their opinions, their actions, their expectations, something subtle yet profound begins to happen. Your inner peace starts to slip away. Think about it for a moment. How many nights have you lain awake, replaying conversations in your head, wondering why someone said something, or worrying about how someone feels about you? Your mind becomes a battlefield, filled with imagined scenarios, judgments, and what-ifs. And slowly, silently, that calm, that clarity, that sense of ease that you once had begins to vanish. Inner peace is not about having a perfect life. It is not about everyone agreeing with you or approving of you. It is about having mastery over your mind, about not letting external chaos dictate your internal calm. But when you spend too much time thinking about everyone else, you hand over the keys to your mental state. You give power to circumstances, to opinions, to imagined criticisms that may never even happen. And in doing so, you trade your serenity for stress, your calm for worry, and your contentment for agitation. I've met people who appear successful, happy, and composed on the outside, but inside, their minds are constantly stormy. Every comment, every glance, every minor incident triggers anxiety, irritation, or doubt. And when I ask them, "Why are you so restless?" the answer is almost always the same. I can't stop thinking about what everyone else thinks of me. The truth is, nothing outside you has the power to disrupt your peace, unless you let it. The irony is that the very people you're worried about, the people whose opinions, actions, or judgments you spend endless hours analyzing, are likely living peacefully, oblivious to the turmoil they have caused in your mind. And yet you allow them to steal something that is entirely yours, the calm, quiet, unshakable center of your being. The key to reclaiming your inner peace is simple, but it requires courage and practice. Start by turning your focus inward. Protect your thoughts, guard your emotions, choose carefully what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Learn to let go of unnecessary worries, imagined judgments, and the need for approval. Practice being fully present in the moment. When you do this consistently, you create a space within yourself that no one can disturb, a sanctuary of calm, clarity, and strength. Remember this, peace is not a gift from the world, it is a creation of your own mind. Every time you allow your thoughts to dwell on others, you disrupt that creation. Every time you redirect your focus to yourself, your goals, and your values, you strengthen it. And the more peaceful you become, the less fragile you are, the less reactive, and the more capable you are of facing life's challenges with grace and strength. So, my friends, protect your inner world. Do not give away your calm for the approval, judgment, or attention of others. Let your mind rest in the sanctuary of your own life. Because when you reclaim your inner peace, you reclaim your strength, your clarity, and your freedom. And that, in the end, is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Have you ever noticed how some people live their entire lives seeking approval? How their happiness, their confidence, even their decisions seem tied to what others think of them? This is what I call dependency on validation. And it is one of the most subtle yet destructive ways we weaken ourselves when we constantly think about everyone else. When your sense of worth is determined by someone else's opinion, you surrender control over your life. Every compliment becomes a temporary high, and every criticism becomes a weight that drags you down. Your mind becomes a pendulum, swinging between elation and despair, not because of your own choices or values, but because of how you imagine others see you. And the more you depend on this external approval, the less you trust yourself, and the weaker you become. Think about it for a moment. How often do we make choices not because they are right for us, but because we want someone else to approve? How often do we suppress our opinions, our creativity, or our desires, fearing judgment or disapproval? And in doing so, we give away the most precious gift we have, our self-respect, our confidence, our power to decide for ourselves. Dependency on validation is a trap. It creates a fragile sense of self. You become like a leaf in the wind, tossed this way and that, reacting to every comment, every glance, every whisper. Your inner strength diminishes because it is no longer rooted in your own values, your own understanding, or your own truth. Instead, it is rooted in the approval of others, something you can never fully control. And here's the irony, the people whose approval we crave are often not thinking about us at all. They have their own lives, their own worries, their own ambitions, yet we spend hours, days, sometimes years, molding ourselves to fit an imagined expectation, losing sight of who we truly are in the process. The way to break free from this dependency is simple, but not easy. You must learn to validate yourself. You must recognize your own worth, honor your own values, and celebrate your own achievements, regardless of who notices them. You must stop allowing the imagined judgments of others to dictate your emotions, your decisions, and your happiness. When you do this, a remarkable transformation occurs. Confidence replaces insecurity. Clarity replaces confusion. Strength replaces fragility. And your life begins to flow according to your own purpose, not the whims of imagined expectations. You no longer live to impress. You live to grow, to contribute, and to become the person you are meant to be. Remember, my friends, no one else can truly give you validation. It must come from within. And the moment you start valuing your own approval above everyone else's, you reclaim control over your life, your mind, and your emotions. That is true freedom. That is true power. And that, in the end, is the difference between a life dictated by others and a life lived authentically, courageously, and fully.